Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Reset Podcast, the podcast for working class Black Americans. I am your host, Andre Clay. Thank you for coming in and tuning in with us today. We have a really good show for you today. Along with me, I have two guests, and today's subject matter is the Black Lives Matter, the movement versus the organization, and do Black Lives Matter to Black people? Today's show will be a call-in show and will also be a open comment show. We're trying to make this show interactive today. Any episode of the Reset podcast that you have missed in the past, please feel free to log on to theresetonline.com. It will take you directly to the page where I strongly encourage everyone to click subscribe, click the thumbs up as we are trying to build up the audience. And on that note, let's start the show. Now, in the last 6 months or so, since the beginning of the protest against police brutality and holding them accountable for their actions, we are starting to see reforms in some of the cities and police departments across the country. Some major, some minor, in my
in
opinion.
some of the cities and police departments across
The
the
thing
country.
about it is, some folks are under the impression that these reforms are taking place because some of these governors and mayors just had a change of heart out of blue. I beg to differ. I would not suggest that they just had a change of heart. I believe that the reforms that we have been seeing are a direct result of the pressure that has been put on elected officials and police departments by the people, community organizers, and organizations. We are the ones who are applying the pressure. Some locales, again, are seeing major reforms, like in Camden, New Jersey, where the entire police department was abolished and rebuilt. They did away with the old union contract and implemented a new contract. Other cities, like in San Diego, they have minor reforms where they just abolish rubber bullets for the police to use. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and we're going to get there. Now, nonetheless, these changes are being implemented by elected officials and police departments. There is a question that has arisen that we have to address today. Of those organizations that have been a part of the protest movements against police brutality, is Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter first sprung up, I remember, after Trayvon Martin was actually killed. Um, the phrase Black Lives Matter, however, is the sentiment of the people. This is what we saw during the protest, people chanting it. We saw some folks spray painting it. Um, but then there's Black Lives Matter, the organization, who has, since the Trayvon Martin killings, have become more of a worldwide organization, after starting out as a grassroots organization. Now, with them becoming more of a global organization comes along controversy and doubts about that organization. So, what I wanted to do right now is take a little time to go directly to their website and share with the public a little bit about them, so that we can decide for ourselves whether or not this organization is doing us any good or not. So allow me to screen share everyone real quick. One second. Everybody see my screen? Everybody see that right here?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Black Lives Matter website. And on the website, I've had a chance to go through it all. And I decided to go to their section of their website in what they titled "What We Believe," and If you would allow me to read for you, 4 years ago, what is now known as the Black Lives Matter Global Network began to organize. It started out as a chapter based member led organization whose mission was to build local power and to intervene when violence was inflicted on Black communities by the state and vigilantes. In the years since, we've committed to struggling together and to imagining and creating a world free of anti-blackness where every black person has the social, economic, and political power to strive. Black Lives Matter began as a call to action in response to the state-sanctioned violence and anti-black racism. Our intention from the very beginning was to connect black people from all over the world who have a shared desire for justice to act together in their communities. The impetus for that commitment was and still is the rampant and deliberate violence inflicted on us by the state. Enraged by the death of Trayvon Martin and the subsequent acquittal of his killer, George Zimmerman, and inspired by the 31-day takeover of the Florida state capitol by Power U and the Dream Defenders, we took to the streets. A year later, we set out together on the Black Lives Matter Freedom Ride to Ferguson in search of justice for Mike Brown, all of those who have been torn apart by state sanctioned violence and anti Black racism. Forever changed, we returned home and began building the infrastructure for the Black Lives Matter global network, which in its infancy has become a political home for many. Ferguson helped catalyze a movement to which we've all helped give life. Organizers who call this network home have ousted anti Black politicians, won critical legislation to benefit Black lives and changed the terms of the debate on Blackness around the world. Through movement and relationship building, we have also helped catalyze other movements and shifted culture with an eye toward the dangerous impacts of anti Blackness. These are the results of our collective efforts. The Black Lives Matter Global Network is as powerful as it is because of our membership, our partners, our supporters, staff, and you. Our continued commitment to liberation for all Black people means we are continuing the work of our ancestors and fighting for our collective freedom because it is our duty. Every day we recommit to healing ourselves and each other and to co creating alongside comrades, allies, and family a culture where each person feels seen, heard, and supported. We acknowledge, respect, and celebrate differences and commonalities. We work vigorously for freedom and justice for Black people and, by extension, all people. We intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bonded together through a beautiful struggle that is restorative, not depleting. We are unapologetically Black in our positioning. In affirming that Black Lives Matter, we need not qualify our position. To love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves is a prerequisite for wanting the same for others. We see ourselves as part of the global Black family, and we are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged as Black people who exist in different parts of the world. We are guided by the fact that all Black lives matter, regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status, or location. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are reflexive, and do the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift Black trans folk, especially Black trans women, who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. We build a space that affirms Black women and is free from sexism, misogyny, and environments in which men are centered. We practice empathy. We encourage comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context. We make spaces family friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work quote unquote double shifts so that they can mother in private even as they participate in public justice work. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as an extended as extended families and quote villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. We foster queer affirming network. When we gather, when we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormity thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual, unless she or he or they disclose otherwise. We cultivate an integrational and communal network free from ageism. We believe that all people, regardless of age, show up with the capacity to lead and learn. We embody and practice justice, liberation, and peace in our engagements with one another. Now, let me go back to the broadcast room. You guys see me?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Now, given the information I just read from the Black Lives Matter website, Sadiq, I want to start with you. I want to, well, first of all, introduce yourself to the people real quick, and I got a few questions for you. One, how do you feel about Black Lives Matter, the organization versus Black Lives Matter, the movement? Do they have the Black community's interest at heart? Do you believe they do? And should we support them as a Black community?
Well, I'm Sadiq Rashid, a Po Bum Society community activist. Um, so assalamu alaikum to the people watching. Um, Now you asked me how I feel about Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes, yes, the movement versus the organization.
Well, I believe the movement versus the organization. The movement itself initially, the organization, excuse me, itself initially, I was all for 100% what they stood for, why they got together. The movement itself, I believe, has lost focus, and it's not about Black lives at all. That's what I look at it like. This is not. This is more propaganda for other avenues. It's turned a lot more so political, in my view, than anything
Okay.
else. And it's been more of a more just a chant than actually a love. It's just become the new thing to do. Like remember when we were younger, they used to wear African medallions everywhere, and everybody had holy names from
Sure.
Mecca, and it was Ungawa Black Power. And then when it wasn't fashionable anymore in the hip hop world, then those charms went into the drawer, and then people went back to doing what they were going to do anyway. So it's sort of like that, but it has a little different tone to it because of the climate we're living in right now.
Okay.
But do I think we should support it? Was that part of the question?
Yes. Do you have do you believe that they have the Black community's interest at heart, and do you support them? And
I
should we
I
support them? I'm sorry.
support anything that it has to do with the movement of Black people in a positive manner. However, like I said, I believe it's lost focus and it's become more political, and that I don't support. But I do believe that it can be useful if the people learn to use that in a proper way in-house, not necessarily dealing with just Black Lives Matter. Because just in Aurora, just real quick, in Aurora, I've asked some people in higher places, have you spoken to anybody, any representative from the Black Lives Matter movement? Have they come to you? Have they talked to you? Because it's being spray painted on Starbucks and every place else. Have you spoken to anyone? And the answer was absolutely no. So we have no representative from Black Lives Matter yet. Everyone's saying it from Hispanics, Blacks, Caucasians. Everybody's using it, but the meaning has gotten lost. And I believe the idea of what it started out being back in 2013, I think that meaning has gotten completely lost and it's turned really political. But to support the idea that Black lives does matter, and that's the movement part about it, that we do matter, I support that idea 100%.
Okay. Now, real quick, when you say it's become too political, what exactly do you mean by too political?
People are
Explain that.
using the moniker normally right now a lot just to gain recognition. Hey,
Okay.
Black Lives Matter, we're in it too. I
Okay.
spoke to a group of people a few weekends ago, and it was basically all white people down there, and everybody they got the best Black Lives Matter shirts, man. I'm like, where did you get your shirt from? It's black and gold. It's man, they got the fist on it. I'm like, you know, and it became just the thing to do. And it's like,
Mm,
okay, I want to be a part of something. Let me jump on with this. So it's like it's a propagation for, but not knowing exactly what you're propagating for, how deep that goes, what it's exactly about, what Black people are actually suffering. Even if you read it and repeat it, doesn't mean you actually understand it. So we know ways to use that to try to move forward. But the people that are doing this is more political. It's more like, and our politicians are using it as a way to say, hey, we understand what the wants of the people,
mm,
the needs of the people. Black Lives Matter. You know, it
mm.
got the Nancy Pelosi and them got kente cloth on, bending down on, you know, starting to get ridiculous. You know, it's not like these people are just now being subjected to what happens to Black people or Black men in this country and Black women. It's not like this is new on them, you know. So now it's a new thing to do. Oh, it's okay for us to come out and say it now because we don't want to lose attention, and other people are trying to gain attention. So that's
I
what I mean
got
by political.
you. Yeah, basically, they're marketing our oppression.
Right, exploitation again. Once
Yeah,
again, they
yeah.
want to. People are marketing and exploiting our pain and suffering and positioning themselves.
Okay, I feel you. All right, Miss Mary Foltz. Please introduce yourselves to everyone. And before you do, I got same question. How do you feel about Black Lives Matter, the organization, versus Black Lives Matter, the movement? Do they have the Black community's interest at heart, and should we be supporting them? So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. So hi, I'm Mary, folks. First thing I'm going to say is that I'm not even going to give myself a title right now. Some would say I'm an activist. Some would say I'm an advocate. Some would say I'm a community organizer. So I wear so many different abbreviations for who I am. If I had to tell people who I am, I would say I'm just a human being that cares about everyone. So now we get into the organization versus the movement. When the Black Lives Matter organization was formed, I hear what you're saying, Clay. I hear what Rashid is saying. It was formed as an organization. And everyone knows that organizations have protocol, they have policies, they have standards that they're governed by. Problem is that a lot of people don't teach what it is your organization was really built for. So just like right now, when you just read that whole article, I guarantee you there's a lot of people that are listening right now that they didn't even know that. Black Lives Matter as a movement means something different now than what the organization was brought up for, was put together for. Now, when you just read that article, you spoke about liberation, you spoke about religion, you spoke about women. Black Lives Matter was there to empower people. It was there for when things were done wrong against Black people, but also when you got towards the end, see, at some point there, as the years went on, it kind of changed a little bit. And that's where they started unifying. Now, when it started, it was primarily about white supremacists and what they were doing wrong to Black people, not just the police. That's one of the people that's doing the Black Lives movement is where they got it mixed up at. They got a one-track mind. They're thinking just every time when a Black person is done wrong, is murdered, is killed, that's when you're supposed to jump up and say Black Lives Matter. If you try to teach them about the organization, the policy, the procedure, the way that the organization was set up, they don't want to hear that. If you try to talk to them about how a movement is ran, because also when you got a movement, you also got to put things in place. People are missing all of that. So when you talk organization and you talk movement, most of the people that's out here protesting, they don't even know what they're protesting about. Most of them are protesting because they're Black. The other ones are protesting, like Rashid said, that because they wanna tap on to something. And that doesn't matter what nationality that you are. A lot of people are doing that. And if people had to be honest about it, they can say that. It doesn't matter if you're Latino, if you're Caucasian, if you're Asian, it does not matter. So would I support what the organization stands for versus the movement? I'd rather go with the organization, because the movement is lost. At this point, the people that understand the organization, they know how to deal with this as a movement. It was said here in Aurora that a lot of people that went out and protested, they set up protests, what the thing is being said now is that they was playing protest. Reason being because even before people started protesting, at this point, everybody's seen a black man killed on national TV. We literally watch. No one can say now that they never seen anyone die. You know, if you seen George Floyd's murder, we all seen somebody killed. We seen him take his last breath on national TV. So everybody got in an uproar. At that point, Black Lives Mattered. At that point, to be honest, and we got to keep it real here, they didn't know if they was following an organization. They don't know if they're following the movement. They was just going on the color of skin, and that was it. So I would rather follow the organization. And then like what she said, did anybody reach out from the Black Lives Matter organization? See, the way that goes is that when there's an issue and a problem and we're following the organization protocol, we would be reaching out to them, no different than the NAACP, no different than Operation Push. We would reach out to them. And then we would come together and we would strategize, come up with a plan. That's not what's happening. Everybody's protesting, everybody's out there. The problem is, what's next? What is the movement? What is the movement? What are you moving for? The organization. Do you even understand what this was made for? It is an organization. A lot of people, Rashid, I'm sure you agree with me because we know we're in the same town. A lot of people don't even know Black Lives Matter is an actual organization. That's the part that I'm upset about. People are jumping on the bandwagon, just like you said, Rashid. Too many of them. We're going to keep going through this revolving door. Right now, you tell a lot of people, oh, well, I didn't know it was an organization. I don't even know what that means. So until we are capable of teaching our people what it is that's really going on, we're going to stay in the same place. We're going to rise up. We're going to protest, as we say in the roar, fake protest, whatever you want to call it. Then we're going to fall back down. We're going to start going. Rashid, you brought up about the politicians. Even they know it's an organization, but then they'll sit back and laugh at people because they're like, they don't even know what they're talking about. If they dared ask them the question, nobody would have the answer. So with me, when I kept asking people over and over again, what's next? After the protesting, everyone getting upset, what's next? They don't even know what's next because they don't even know from where it came from. They don't even know. They don't know. So I would support the organization versus the movement because people that are moving, they don't know where they're moving to. Okay. And that's just the way I feel about it.
Got you. Well, how do you believe that the Black Lives Matter organization, do you believe they have the Black community's interest at heart?
The organization itself, like I said, there's an organization. People don't understand what the organization is. The organization works in place. Excuse me?
Does the organization, do you believe the organization has the Black community's interest at heart?
And I'm saying it again the third time. Yes, that's why the organization was made. But nobody's going to the organization using the organization for which it was made up, which it was made for. No one's doing that.
Okay. Should, as a Black community, Mary, should we be supporting them?
Yes, once we learn what the organization is for, because until you learn what the organization was put in place for, how do you know if you're going to support it or not? That's why I can say that I support the Black Lives Matter organization versus the Black Lives movement. Because a lot of people, even when you were out there, when they were protesting, I went out as a spectator, nobody really knew what they was doing. They just kept saying, we support Black lives. They meant my Black life. They meant your Black life. They meant Rashid. They meant Black lives. They were not talking about an organization. They weren't talking about, you know, the standards. They were just talking about, I support that Black man. I support that Black woman. I support because that child got killed. That's it. That's it. No one really knows. No one really knows about. I'm gonna say most people. I'm gonna say it like that. They really don't even know that Black Lives Matter is an organization. They don't even know that. Would you agree, Rashid?
Rashid, you're muted. You're muted, brother.
Oh, here we go. Dog was acting a fool.
No,
Look, I agree to an extent. I believe people don't really know that it's an organization. That is true. I don't necessarily agree that if I put it look like this, if Michael Jordan, you know, he had sued because his image was being used on, I forget what store it was, Dominic's or something like that, or Omni or something, and his image was being used, and they never came to him about the image, so he came to them and sued him, right? So if people are tearing things up in your name, and people are burning things down in your name, then I think it's encompassed upon you. If you're a global institution now, as we read already, they're a global institution. If you're a global organization now, you should send representatives out to certain areas or any area that you can to start representing and try to bring organization under your name if people are going to move in that name. Not throwing shots at nobody. I'm just saying this is how it can go.
right,
People, as Mary stated, are not necessarily educated up on every aspect of what an organization is, or like she said, that's even an organization. So, like, it's some discussions I've had back door with some certain politicians and people, and even officers. You may know all the codes and statutes, right? But
right.
somebody out here knows how they're being treated. They
Mm-hmm.
don't care nothing about all them codes and statutes, but this is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just like if you go to a restaurant, you don't know all the ingredients in the food, you don't know how much, what the temperatures are, the whole times, none of that. Hey man, this don't taste right. That's it. You don't want to hear no explanation about 1,000 different things. You need to fix this. And that's how we have to deal with our people. We want somebody who's going to come in and fix the problem. So if somebody says Black Lives Matter, it's a monkey see, monkey do society. It's a follow the leaders. My sister said, follow the bouncing ball. So you just got people following the bouncing ball, like Mary's talking about. And that's why I believe she's getting at, with no direction, with no organization. So
Right.
that doesn't necessarily have to come from Black Lives Matter. You can do that locally, and we need to start building that. But that's another conversation. I'm gonna get all into that, but you get what I'm saying. So if Black lives actually matter, it doesn't matter if there's one organization doing it or 30. We need to be found making that statement actually true.
I agree.
So as a movement, I'm sorry, I'm gonna take over your program play, but
No,
as a movement, what is the movement, Rashid? Can I ask you that? So, because
I don't
I hear what you're saying, I
movement.
respect that. What is the movement that they're protesting for if they don't know about the organization? What
Well,
is the
first,
movement? Because maybe
um,
I'm missing something.
well, when people feel bottled in or put in the corner, right? You get movement. When you put pressure up on anybody for change, that's a movement. I don't know if there's a collective movement in Aurora or any much of these places, except for the only thing they have in common interest is that they don't like what's going on and they're working together to try to do something, if it's only just to be heard. See, organization, we understand can create movement, but we've had a lot of organizations in Aurora and abroad and ain't been no movement.
Hmm.
So as long as you get people together to get something done, put action on somebody, put some movement on somebody, put some heat under somebody's ass, now you got movement. So to me, that's what movement is. And what happens is that organizations come together and put the fire out. So now you have no more movement, and it's got people become docile and quiet and tired and complacent, and you start giving out pacifiers, and certain people get paid and some people don't. Some people may get Olive Garden coupons. I don't know what the hell they get, but then people get quiet, and therefore you have no more movement. The movement is when the people get tired. And when the movement is when people want something and they're not going to accept all these lackadaisical political answers for everything. They want something done. So that's the movement. The problem is when you don't have organizational movement is that they can easily be shut up. And that's what we don't want anymore. That's what we can't have anymore. And that's what the youth don't want to get involved with any organization because that's what they've seen before. People with that high energy don't want to get involved with organization no more because they want to be fed. They tired of being talked to. And that's,
right.
to me, what the core of the movement is. They want movement. They don't want no more speeches. They want movement.
They want movement. Got you on that. You know, when I had to think about these questions as I was putting them together for the show, I had to ask myself, do you support Black Lives Matter? And as an organization, I do support it in part. There are certain aspects about the organization that I'm not clear about and I don't support. I don't see the organization putting a great emphasis on family as far as men being in a household. As a matter of fact, as I look through the website, the talk of men is nowhere around. Everybody else but men was mentioned. That I'm not on board with. Also, I believe that Black Lives Matter, the organization, has also allowed its itself to be hijacked, its narrative to be hijacked by media, by those who are against Black Lives Mattering, if you will, and they've run away with it, and they have been playing catch up, in my opinion, ever since. With during the protest, we're seeing folks spray painting BLM on buildings and carrying on. I think that's one of the ways in which the intent behind the movement has been sabotaged in a lot of ways. And those things promote doubt in the minds of a lot of people that would otherwise support them. You know what I mean? As far as the movement goes, I support the movement as well, because I too believe that you have to have pressure applied. Um, you need to have people out there, boots on the ground, making their demands be known to the public officials and everybody. That needs to be known. In my opinion, they can work hand in hand. Like you said, the organization can facilitate the movement, and that's what needs to happen. But I do believe that Black Lives Matter, they need to get a better control of their narrative. I do believe also that um, more citizens need to check out the website, read up on them, research them, find out who and what this organization is about. And if you care, and if Black Lives Matter to you, join that organization or any organization that's out there trying to make a difference,
Exactly.
streets. That's
Can I
my
can
two
I
cents.
add just one thing here?
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
one of the things we also have to be very cognizant of is money. Let's
Mhm,
not act like this is not a factor in all of this. That's
Mm.
a major factor. So we're not going to
mhm,
play crazy here. The
mhm,
matter of the fact that the Black Lives Matter movement started to get hijacked. Let's go look into some of these people like the Open Society Foundation who flooded money to the BLM. Okay, that's run by George Soros. He founded that in 1993. George Soros has also been rumored to be connected to Antifa. We don't know if that's true, but it's
right,
rumored, right?
right.
Also, the heir to Taco Bell, Rob McKay, he was
Mhm,
also flooding money into BLM. Now, these are not black people. These are people with money. And these are not people who just put money in there just to be putting money in there. And, they do major donations to also Planned Parenthood, who's also been an enemy of the black community. So the problem is that if they're giving money to Planned Parenthood and then they're giving money to Black Lives Matter, do they really matter? So we asking that to us, but what about the people flooding money into it? What is actually your motive for flooding money into there? And then how also, oh no, excuse me, somebody else who floods money into it is Ford. Ford also puts money behind Black Lives Matter. So we have all these Fortune 500 companies and people, billionaires throwing money into there. Why? Why? Do you think all of a sudden they love us and they care about black people? Why is the money coming there? What is going on? So we have to critically think when we start giving endorsements of people after a while, because what was started in the beginning is not necessarily what's here now. And that's
mhm,
what we have to understand. When people start putting money into things, they put money into it as investments. These are business people. So what are you investing in? Since the black community hasn't been built up, but all this money is going in, but the black experience, the economy is still going down for black people. We're not getting anything more built. We still have no economic basis in some of the worst cities in the world. So what is the money being flooded to the organization for? What are we actually doing? So I'm not saying I have the answers. I'm saying we have to ask the questions. And why are
okay.
you so interested in it? Why are you investing in it? So I'm not just speaking from an emotional standpoint. I want to know why these dollars are being flooded in, where are they going, and how is it beneficial to us? We need to ask these questions, because far too long we give our trust to people, and then we end up on the back end, being the backseat driver in our own car, and wonder what the hell happened. And that happens so much locally. Now it's globally. You have a George Soros, who is a global guy from
Mhm,
Hungary, Hungary, global guy, putting money into Black Lives Matter to make it global. For what purpose? What are you trying to do? If it's good, let it be known. If it's nefarious, we need to find out, because we're giving our trust to everything without having proper information. So that's where organization comes in. Not necessarily from Black Lives Matter, but from other people trying to get things done. We need to be flooded with information. You know, it's a lot of people in our city that don't even know what goes on in our city politically, or the people that politically don't know what actually goes on in the streets. So we have to make a connection, because we need each other, and we're going to look up one day and we're going to be run by people we have never seen, don't know, and don't care about us at all. And that's what's been happening. And if we're not careful, we ain't going to have no dog in the fight. And that's just what I see.
But you know what, though, if I may I or no?
Oh,
yes.
Okay. That now, see, you're talking about Rashid. You're talking about the Taco Bell, Ford, all the big people and everything. But also, let's come back to the movement.
mm-hmm.
The people that say that they're fighting the movement. How many of them are making investments?
None. Probably none.
Okay, now, how many of them is making T-shirts now?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them is making the hats now?
Right.
All the way down to the buttons.
Right.
Aren't they getting financial gain? See, they went
It's
away
not the
from.
same thing, though.
Okay. To me, see, now you say it's not the same because see, you're talking global, but see, we're talking organization and we're talking movement. So if I go out here because I'm gonna ride on the backs of the people that suffer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make up 500 T-shirts. I'm not thinking about the Black Lives Movement. I'm not thinking about the children that are getting killed. I'm not thinking about the people that's not getting fed. I'm not talking about
Opportunists, definitely.
not getting jobs. I'm not talking about the people that's getting murdered by the police. We're not talking about defunding the police. I'm talking about now putting money in my pocket.
Right.
And then that money that I'm gonna go sell these 500 T-shirts. What am I gonna do with that money? Am I putting it back in the community? Am I gonna help with training? Am I gonna help with job placement? Am I gonna help with any of that?
Mm-hmm.
So some of us, that what the Black Lives should matter more to.
Mm-hmm.
See, the people in the movement, it should matter more to.
Mm-hmm.
Because the things that are happening is happening more to us. See, it's happening to my black son. It's going to happen to my black grandson if we don't do something now. So again, if we don't put the train, like you said, that really the organization that's up top that was built for that reason. You said the best thing I heard you say so far is that we can build any organization, but my thing, see, when you get into titles and all that, and people get the big head, that's where the problem's at. So Black lives should matter every day, whether we're here, whether we're not here. We can build without having to follow Black Lives Matter organization rules.
Right. That's what's it. Exactly.
Right. So if I go build those, make those 500 T-shirts, and I sell them for $20 a piece, and I make all this money, I do nothing with. I go and buy me a Rolls Royce or do whatever, give me a nice car, whatever. What am I doing?
Well,
what am I doing?
I'd rather have them make the T-shirts and make the money, and not be out there causing a habit where Black Lives Matter have to march down the street. But I get your point.
What you gonna do with the money?
I get your point.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna interview.
All right, guys.
Mute button, Mary. Mute button.
Yeah, mute button, Mary. Well, you know what, guys, I greatly appreciate your perspectives on the first half of this show. We're getting a lot of comments from guys. We have my man Thomas saying no, he does not support the Black Lives Matter movement. Paula says a lot of folks jump on the bandwagon and truly don't know what they are doing.
Mary said that, yeah.
Yeah, Terrence Scott says they're people with money and agenda. Absolutely. And yeah, everybody is seems to be exploiting our oppression.
That's right.
So yeah, we do have to be mindful of the intent behind some of these people and organizations that call themselves invest, donate, into our movements. That was a good one, guys. Another subject that came up to me that I was thinking about during as we're seeing some of these reforms take place, we have also seen a huge
a lot of freeze.
I'm good. There's been a
Okay.
lot of resistance from the police departments,
Mhm.
from other citizens. Um,
Okay.
and we see this resistance in the form of during the protests, many police officers were caught themselves vandalizing and looting. Um, if you look online, the comments by some of those who are not in support of Black Lives Matter, the movement or the organization, are very disparaging. Um, they're very what Black Lives Matter means, and the question that had come up most often that I saw was, do Black Lives matter to Black people? Now that question
Mm.
came up, I saw in the midst of the protest. Now, while I view that question as a legitimate question to ask, it had nothing to do with the protests against police violence. And when I saw it first brought up, I thought it was meant. I thought it was a distraction. It was a question that had nothing to do with protesting the police. It's a legitimate question that needs to be addressed, but at the time it was just a distraction. So now that the question has been asked, do Black lives matter to Black people? Allow me, if you will, to share with you another article I came across. Let me screen share real quick, guys. And this article right here comes off of Fox 32. 67 shot, 13 fatally. Chicago. 13 people have been killed and at least 54 others injured in the shootings across Chicago so far over the 4th of July weekend. 9 of the victims were minors, and 2 of the children died from their injuries. A 14-year-old boy was among 4 people killed in a shooting that wounded 4 others Saturday night in Inglewood on the south side. They were at a large gathering in the street about 11:35 that evening in the 6100 block of South Carpenter Street when 4 males walked up and started shooting, according to Chicago police. The 14-year-old boy was hit in the back and pronounced. Other male victims were pronounced dead, 2 at the scene and 1 at the University of Chicago Medical Center, police said. Their ages were not immediately known. An 11-year-old boy with a graze wound to the ankle and a 15-year-old boy with a gunshot wound to the abdomen were both taken to Comer in fair condition, police said. A 35-year-old man shot in the hip, leg, arm, and wrist was taken to St. Bernard Hospital and transferred to Stroger Hospital in critical condition, police said. A 29-year-old man shot in the foot was taken to St. Bernard Hospital in fair condition. Was killed at a 4th of July party in Austin on the west side. The girl was playing on the sidewalk about 7 p.m. in the 100 block of North Latrobe when 3 men got out of a white car and shot more than 20 rounds in the direction of the people holding the party, a group which included many children, police said. The girl, identified by family as Natalie Wallace, was struck in the forehead and the 32-year-old man was injured. Tonight, a 7-year-old girl in Austin joined a list of teenagers and children whose hopes and dreams were ended by the barrel of a gun. Mayor this. We are making progress in slowing shootings, but we have to do better, every single one of us. We can read more about this article on the Fox 32 website, guys, as I come back into the broadcast room. Just a second. With the onslaught every weekend, we are seeing reports of gun violence happening in not just Chicago, but all over the city and all in major cities. I want to start off with the first one being, what can be done to stop gun violence? Mary, I'm gonna go to you first to answer that question. What can be done to stop gun violence, in your opinion?
What can be done to stop the gun violence? And who are you asking, from the police or from the people in the community?
The people in the community.
Hmm. If I had to answer that honestly, I say this all the time: until you can change the hearts of the people, that's the only way that's going to change. Because it's the people behind the guns that are doing the killing. Guns don't kill people by themselves. So what can actually be done? Actually, I almost want to say that I want to bypass that, because I just had a shooting last night at this early this morning at my mom's house. A shooting happened. Well, not at my mom's, but outside my mom's. And 3 people got shot. Unfortunately, one of the
Tell
people
us
passed
about that.
away.
Tell us about that.
So what can be done about the gun violence? It's sad because the people that can stop the gun violence, they don't want to stop it. They live to get guns, to run around in the street carelessly, shooting innocent 3, 5, 7. I did a video earlier this morning. My heart goes out to all these families that this happens to. And it really, for me, that is a hard question. Because if I had to truly answer that honestly, it's scary. I would say nothing.
Mm.
Because if you can't change the hearts of them people, I mean, you just got to be honest here. I mean, this thing that I watch documentaries and stuff. I'm talking back in the 1940s. I watch. Sadiq, I welcome you to watch some of the videos that I watched from. I'm talking in the 1940s. Stuff that's being done today that was done back then, and we still ain't got nowhere. People still dying. They were meeting back then in 1940 something. I watched this stuff through the night last night. You would be amazed to see. I would welcome you to see through your eyes what I see and what I witnessed, why my heart is so heavy with this. And not to mention that I have 2 of my own children that have been shot before. It's a lifetime of pain and agony. It's more when a person's family member dies. But that agony is still there just to have them shot. Just to have your life invaded by this. So a question like that to somebody like me, I have to say nothing, because these people, they got, it's in their minds, it's in their hearts. And if you take and you mix it with people that are high, drinking, and with a gun, I'm sure that we 3 can agree 9 times out of 10, they don't even realize what they have done. What's even sadder, if you have a lot of people that are in an area and everybody's partying and everybody's drinking and maybe what I hear, taking pills, whatever these people are here doing right now to party, some of the people dying don't even realize what happened or what's going on, and they're dead. See, the thing is that once you're dead, you're done. You're not coming back. So the ones of us that are left alive, when a family member is shot, unfortunately, when they die, and then people go out and buy them T-shirts with Black Lives Matter and all that, Black lives don't matter then. Because when you're dead, you're done. So when people go and they go to the funerals, and I'm going to speak honestly because I've done it this morning already, and they're pouring out liquor and they're carrying, and you get your 2 minutes of fame, or you're crying those tears or whatever, then it's back to life as normal for you, but that life is gone, never to come back. No one can tell me that God and no one expected for people to be killed, to be murdered, to be slaughtered, for us to come back and put on a T-shirt or a hat and say Black Lives Matter. For the people to go back and be a part of that Black Lives organization because someone got killed, they got murdered. Their families got to put up GoFundMe's. That's not right. So that's why I beg to differ about the movement. Because then the movement then becomes what becomes for others, they become a statistic. That's what they become. So what are people moving on? What are they moving on? That's the part where it touches me different than other people. Because see, a lot of people, Rashid, I don't even know if you know, Andre, I don't even know if you know. I got 2 kids that got shot.
I know.
Doing nothing. Took away my son's basketball career. Took it away. Took away his mental state of mind. He was shot doing nothing. A drive-by, something that happened in the school that poured out into the community. My daughter just had a baby. Sitting at my mom's house. Same place where this took place this morning. My mother's house outside. So when I talk some facts. I'm not an emotional person until somebody pushes me to make me say the certain things, because I try to be laid back. I try to be cool about everything. I had so many people saying to me, Miss Mary, where you at on this? Miss Mary, since George Floyd got killed. See, I'm there all the time. I've been there since I was a little girl at age of 13. I've seen things happen on that same block since the age of 13. I've been born, raised, blood-bred here in this city. I've been fighting a long time and seen a lot of things go wrong. I see the good, the bad, the ugly, and see it come back good, see it going back to worse. So I see and I feel differently. My emotions will be different from the next person's for the simple reason why when you shot my son that was doing nothing wrong for something that happened in the school that poured out into the community. When you shot my daughter, holding her baby, that if she didn't lift the baby up, the bullet would have went through my grandchild's head, but it went through her leg, tore her muscles out of her leg. Bullet went through the wall, to the next wall, to the next room. Somebody was getting a gang ignition, 15 years old. So see, like I said about training, if we can train and teach a 14, 15-year-old child to pick up a gun, to do a gang initiation in the middle of the day, 9 something, 10 o'clock in the morning, we can teach them how not to pick up a gun, how not to want to get in the game, how to want to get a job. We can teach them that. So in order to do that, we too, I'm saying me too, regardless of what people feel I have done or haven't done or whatever, me too. You never give up fighting for the righteous. People rise up when people get killed and murdered. Then they go back and they get comfortable, just like you said, Rashid, they get comfortable. But guess what? If people probably didn't get so comfortable after all the protesting and everything, if people would be willing, and I know there's some that's out there working on, dealing with some people, young men and people out there in the streets, I know things, but we can't come and hit or miss when we feel like it. Something was laid on my heart earlier. See, you got it when we get together, then you got it when we come together. See, when you're protesting and you don't know what you're doing, you're getting together. But if you come together for that cause and you see it through, even if you don't come up with a solution and you stay the course, that's a movement.
Okay.
Everybody on the same accord. We're not worried about the politician, not worried about who's doing what, who ain't doing, but we're coming together for one thing and we're seeing it all the way through. We don't stop. That pressure that my guy Brandy talks about, that pressure, Rashid, that you talk about, that people talk about, that pressure. Right now in my mind, I'm like, where's that pressure? Where's that pressure?
Okay.
Where's that pressure?
Well, Sadiq, same question, my brother. In your opinion, what can be done to stop gun violence in our communities?
Well, before you stop anything, you have to find the source. If you have a leak somewhere, you have to find the source of where the leak is coming from. So to answer that question is not, we couldn't sum it up in this show, and we definitely wouldn't sum it up within the next year or so, because as Mary spoke on, this is an ongoing problem in the world, let alone just our communities. And what we're fighting is not necessarily bullets and things like that. What we're fighting, is a culture. We're fighting a culture. Listen, I won't try to drag it out, but when you was growing up, the funniest cartoons were the most violent. Yosemite Sam, Woody Woodpecker, Bugs Bunny, He-Man, Shira, all this stuff was violent. We were bred on nothing but violence. What was that? I thought I put it, cat. You put out the gun and blah 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 blah, and the more gunfire was funny. You know, we end up with a cartoon mentality to where as though we kill somebody, man, he blew dude away, Joe, and it becomes just something to talk about, something to do. It's not necessarily they're even thinking about, as Mary spoke about. They're not even conscious of you took a life that ain't never coming back, and you take that life with you when you go. See, we're not understanding that we're not understanding about life in general because we have been desensitized from the TV shows you watch to the music you listen to the outrageous behavior that parents attribute to their children, to the freedom that children have now that they didn't even have when I was a child. Parents now are fighting things now that our parents never had to fight. No disrespect to our parents, but they ain't never had this damn fight. You ain't had to fight phones, YouTube, TikTok, tablets. Remember when you got your little dirty magazine, you went off into a corner like, woo, look, I show everybody magazine. A magazine.
And now everything's in the open.
Now they just get on their phone and punch up whatever they want to punch up. They can look up any gun they want to look up. They can look up any game literature they want to look up. So it's not just attributed to one focus of a problem. Even the food that we eat attributes to that problem. The politics that we see just in commercials attributes to that problem. Local politics attributes to that problem. But just on a local issue, let's just think of some small things we can do. First of all, why try not to give our children something that they can actually do in this city? That they don't have to go and take a grant out for, or their family don't have to get a loan for in order to get involved with. Why don't we make it accessible to them? More so than hamburgers, hot dogs, and jump houses, and hey, and then they go home. More so, not knocking anybody for what they're trying to do to help the community, but we need more than backpacks. Half of them don't even want to go to school. What are we giving them backpacks for? We have to understand what the problems is in our community and face those problems head on. And that don't come from politicians. That don't come from organizations. That comes from the movement of the people saying that we have to look beyond those people to do the things that we need to do in our community. And at one point, our communities used to do that. Now, how do you get this generation to listen to that? That's the problem that everyone's having. How do you get them to listen to that? You don't. You do it. They only go to McDonald's because it's there. They only go to Burger King because it's there. They only go to Walmart because it's there. You put it there and say, come here. Stop asking them to help you build it. We that know how to get it done, go get it done and say, now you can come here. And to talk about the youth that people do, and they say, hey, what are we going to do to help the youth? You know who you ask? The youth. What is it that you actually want? What do you actually want? You're going to kill and think that you're going to kill and shoot and act the fool with impunity only for so long before they step in and the government of your local government starts to protect what? Their investment. And that starts by weeding you out. There used to be more black people here in Aurora, didn't it? Used to be more black people. Now you got 10% of black people here. Do you know what they did? They start weeding you out. They start pushing you out. So all through across America, you start seeing black people being anywhere between 10 and 15% of the population in each city. They did that on purpose. So if you look at it, right? You have no economic status here. Black people have no economic status here. You have no power here, right? But everybody that's in power in the high places are what color? They're all black, right? But you have no representation. If you was an alien and you drop down here to find black people, you jump back in your spaceship and go back to Saturn because it wouldn't look like there's no black people here. We don't even have, the last restaurant that was here that we can actually look forward to look and say, hey, that was ours. There was a mainstay was LT's. After that, everybody was scattered. So my point is, we have to start curing our economic problem in order to bring people in. We're not going to save this youth with speeches. We're not going to save this youth with turning your gun demonstrations. You're not going to do that. We have to have something that's viable and important to them. And to say Black Lives Matter is not enough when all through TV, even in most churches and any place else you go, Black lives are not the focal point. They'll actually be the last point you bring up because we are being taught subconsciously that everybody else is important, more important than us, that even when we do something as Black people, unless we include somebody else in, it ain't good enough. And we see Black people say all the time, I'm not going to move over here because it's too many Black people. You hear it. I'm not going to pretend like that don't happen. We know that happens in our communities. We say, well, I don't want to go here because Black people can't have nothing. Every time we do something, we mess it up. We got to get out of that mentality. We have to start trusting one another and stop doubting that we can actually build it. We have to get out of that mindset of being scared of the person next to you. Don't talk to the person next to you. Don't talk to the black person in the grocery store, and stop taking the youth and making them be some other entity. I've actually talked to people who are in the streets, and what they said to me was, I ain't trying to deal with them. They too rowdy. Man, but we have to deal with them because that's who they're coming for. That's our future. We have to get out there and not be scared to talk to our youth and tell them, hey, man, drag them this way. But now the problem comes in, how do you attract them to you? How do you bring them to you? So the violence in the street are youth out crying because they don't know what to do. Like Mary says, they have no organization. They have, so these gangs ain't even talking the same. There's people in their own gangs is fighting and killing one another. So it's like, that's not just here, that's everywhere. So you got to look at it like this. How do you drag them, bring them in to curb this violence? We need to have some type of economic base to start from, because truthfully, if you come in doing a whole bunch of talking, there's no talk or promise you're going to give anybody with any gun violence in these streets to stop. The killing of our youth and children are completely unacceptable across the board. Across the board. Now you got to the point you killing babies. Babies. When Tamir Rice was killed, everybody's upset, right? But they went back to sleep even on that. So think about it. We got our youth being killed in the streets now, our elder being killed in the streets now, not only just by police, but by our own. You say, how do we fix it? We have to change our culture, and that does not happen overnight. It comes with not education just in schools, but education about your demographic, where you stand in it, what your role is. We have to give these children something to do, these young adults something to do beyond just saying, here, go work. We want to show them how they can be entrepreneurs and owners. And it's, look, this world that exists now, what you're doing, Mr. Clay, what you're doing right now, we couldn't have did this 15, 20 years ago. Right. So it's like the world is opened up. They don't have to go into a building and work if they don't want to. They can do it right from this iPad or a computer. And a lot of them children are very intelligent. But when you have a culture that's telling them that, hey, this is cooler than that, you have a problem. And I don't know, and I'm with Mary, I don't know if you can solve gun violence with a talk or a rally. You have to change the culture, and that culture can only, and that culture has to change hearts. If that culture doesn't change the hearts of the people, you cannot cure people who are hell bent on raising hell. You cannot. You cannot. If they're going to raise hell whether they want to or not, all we can do is be found giving them the advice, giving them the ways out that we can, the best way we can to pull them out of that life. But we can't make anybody do anything. Our people have a very sick problem that's been put up on us for over 400 years. And whether somebody wants to believe it or not, it affects us to this day. The Willie Lynch thing is real. We talked about this before the show. It's very real. And our women have to understand, and our men have to understand, young men and women, that her problems are our problems. And our problems are her problems, and we got to work together. They cannot be allowed to separate the man from the woman as if we have separate issues. We both, I'm one of those, like, I'm going to say it like this. We talked about religion with BLM. Can anybody tell me why everybody has different gods? Oh, this God is a lot. They claim that all these are different gods. But then everybody got the same devil you fighting. That don't even make sense. We all fighting the same oppression. We all fighting the same enemy. We all fighting the same struggles, the same economic disparities, the same lack of ownership, yet we separate ourselves over the most frivolous of things. So no matter what religion you're in, no matter what organization you're in, whether it's Black Lives Matter or whatever, if you don't want to be involved in an organization, whatever, we need to pull everybody in order to make this work. But to start separating people and telling folks they don't know enough and this people know too much and this person is linked with this person, we need everybody to get through this, because as you see, working on all these different agendas and different fronts, what have we got? Where have we gotten? We got some basketball millionaires, a couple of entertainers. Where have we gotten? Lyndon B. Johnson said this. He said, I'm going to pass this law and I'll have niggas voting for Democratic for the next 400 years. Lyndon B. Johnson. These people know what they're doing. We're trying to fight a global problem in a local situation, and that's how we have to look at it. So I agree with Mary. There's no one way to say we're going to get rid of gun violence. We just got to work. And as she said, it's been going on in these cities for longer than the 40s. It's been going on, and we have to find some way to curb it. And I'm not sure we have those answers overnight.
Okay.
May I please
Go ahead.
Andre, unless you have a question.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Rashid, I thought I could talk. You got me beat. When I heard you say about the children,
Mm.
I've dealt with the children, the youth, 18 years, not dealing with the adults.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know how things can change for the youth, like you said, you got to talk to the youth.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Yeah.
One of the problems, let me say this, one of the problems that the youth have with adults is that they feel that we don't listen to them. With all of the protesting and everything, we're going to keep it real right now. Black Lives Matter, right? How many black children, you were there, how many black children, not black adults, how many black children, how many black youth, even when the Latino community came together at Simmons Park, how many black youth,
Mm-hmm.
but Black Lives Matter? The meetings that are happening, how many
Not
black
enough
youth?
youth. Not enough youth. That's
How
been a
many?
constant
And you know
argument of mine.
why? But you know why? Because we are failing them. They talking. They even want to know why we not at the table. How do y'all know
Mm-hmm.
what we feel? They talking. However, when the protests and everything was happening, you see a whole lot of Hispanic youth,
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of Caucasian youth. And I'm going to say we, even though I know I didn't do it because I'm black, we failed them. What did we show them? So when people were saying to me, what's next? You know why I kept saying, what's next? Because the youth were saying, well, if we go out there and we protest, what we protesting for?
Mm-hmm.
What we going to do after that? What y'all got for us after that? Now, these are the youth. These are
Mm-hmm.
them kids that are over there, you know, because, you know, with the kids that were graduating, very few African Americans in this city. Very few. But the adults ran out there. They forgot about the children. They forgot about who the fight was really for. They was fighting for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They was mad. They were angry. They were yelling and screaming. I don't care who I heard talk or when I heard them talk. I didn't hear much talk about the next generation.
No.
I didn't hear much talk from children. But you know who gonna hurt when their daddies and their mamas getting killed, when they're dying, when they're jobless and they can't eat? It's gonna be the children.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're teaching them. We're teaching them that that's okay. It's okay for mama and daddy to go out and do the fighting without us. It's okay for them to go do it. Don't teach us how to do it, so we're not going to know how to do it. See, then that's where I said we dropped the ball, and that's where I draw the line. Because, see, that's how the white supremacists and the people that came in, that were breaking the windows, tearing up the businesses, doing all that, and they got blamed on the black community until nationwide they seen what was really happening. Until nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
But here in this city, in our city, let's talk about Aurora. When the looting happened, when the tearing of the businesses happened, when the rioting going on downtown, when the marching that some said we made history right here in Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what history did we make? What was the history? Because we marched for the cause of Black Lives Matter? Because we marched? See, I didn't march. I came as a spectator. I came to see what the black people in my community were doing. What the black people that said they were standing for Black Lives Matter, to see what they were doing. I want to know what were they fighting for. And see, I'm talking about me. I'm not gonna put nobody else's names. I'm talking about me. And I got sad because as I stood up there before all the like it was supposed to be peaceful, there's people that would say to me, "See, you like doing what Martin Luther King like doing. You like being peaceful. You can't do that. You gotta apply pressure. You gotta do this. You gotta do that." But even when you apply pressure, there's a way to do it. And then when you're doing it, us adults, we got to teach our children. See, if you go back and you look back in the 1960s, when they were doing the sit-ins and everything, remember, it was the children that went and the parents was at home. It was the parents that didn't even want their children to go and fight that fight. But see, the kids taught the grown-ups something. Nowadays, the grown-ups want to be in the forefront. Like you said earlier, some want to get paid, some want political favors, they want this, they want that. They're forgetting all about the children. They're forgetting about the kids. But then as soon as the kid get killed, the young man that just died, 20-something years old, ain't coming back. Ain't no coming back.
I got you. Got you.
And if people want to ask me about Black Lives Matter, his life mattered. His life mattered. The 7-year-old that just got killed, yeah, life mattered.
Mm-hmm.
But it will come to us sit in the room. Or we'll get mad at each other on Facebook, back and forth, the back and forth that I'm so tired of. Organization. Want to be notarized from the politicians, all that. When people are steady dying and people steady saying they saying Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
But when we want to talk about the kids and what really matters, when we can take those children and let them speak for themselves and let them come to us, not us keep coming together, us adults keep coming together to talk about it, but we can get our children, your children, my grandkids, and get even at the youngest age. Because see, if we can let them go to the schoolhouse and let the schoolhouse teach them, that's not our history. But yet we don't teach them. We teach them how to love one another. We teach them how to not to pick the guns up. We don't allow the streets to teach them how to pick them up. That's the part. That's the part. So when we train them up from a child to an adult, we got to train them at the youngest age possible. And even when they get lost, we don't leave them out there. Because sure as my name is Mary, folks, when they stretched out, we all gonna come. We all gonna come.
Okay.
And that's the part about changing the culture. Definitely.
All right,
We're
guys.
all gonna come.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I got another question for you guys. The reason I had to ask that first question to you guys, there's something I've always believed that when it comes to most of the issues, they within our community, it starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that most of Black families are broken families, meaning that one of the parents does not live in the same household to be of influence children. When I was growing up, and I'm sure when you guys were growing up, we had our communities definitely had more of a village approach to how we took care of one another. My question as to what role can the community play, you guys have touched on quite a bit, but also I've noticed I have noticed something that, how can I say this? I think is a problem. What I mean is, parents basically facilitate bad behavior. Meaning, all too often, I've seen parents who have sons who may have a friend who is not someone that you probably will want your son to be hanging around. Someone who's probably more involved in crime, drugs, gangs, whatever. And I've watched parents allowed those boys to come over to the house and hang out with their sons, and the next thing you know, their sons are involved in some of the activities that much facilitate this in a way by allowing their kids to hang out with them. And I've always felt kind of weird about that because I while I understand giving a kid a place to come, what I
Hmm.
never did understand is when they allowed them to come, I didn't see wisdom being shared with those kids to help prevent them from going outside that house and committing crimes. But I agree with both of what you and Mary said, Sadiq. My last question: is there a role in gun violence in the Black community? Is there a role that government can play in ending gun violence in the Black community? Sadiq, why don't you start that one off?
Is there a role government can play in
Can
begun
play.
that? Well, there's a role they can play, but there's no role that we actually would want them to do. I
What role
honestly
is
don't
that
believe
they
we
can play?
want. Pardon me.
What role
I couldn't hear
is
you.
that they can play? What role
Well,
is that they can play?
they're gonna just use nothing but violence, and so we don't want that. You don't want them on every block in every part of your neighborhood, making sure people are not out and just street checking people. What was that they had in New York where they were stopping, frisk, and all? We don't want all of that. So if we don't, then we have to we got to self govern ourselves. If we don't want the politicians and the local police coming in and doing what they feel they need to be done to curb violence, we got to do it ourselves. Otherwise, you're giving yourself right into their hands, and they feel they could do what they want at that point. But I think that one of the things politicians can actually do sincerely is to share the wealth here and about and make sure that each give us the best chance that we can to actually create something to where we can try to curb some of this violence and disparities in our community. Because without resources, we have no dog in the fight. They have killed morale from everything we listen to on the radio, see on TV. There's no moral code anymore. Like there's no big okay, you can't do this anymore. Everything is out in the open now. There's none of that anymore. And parents right now are a lot of parents believe it, even in the Black family, are scared to raise their children. They're scared of the kids. And so what politicians can actually do, the only thing they can do is give people like yourself or Mary or even Echo for that matter, Miss Dockery. It's a few people, go out here trying to get something done. Open up the purse strings to let them actually create environments for the children to have a place to go, grow, and learn, and we can distract them from all these other deterrents of madness. But we have to have the freedom to do it, the financial freedom to actually do it, and then we can get the numbers to go out and get them. But we got to be in their face, and we got to be able to work that angle. And I don't mean the old corny, oh, you got so much potential, I'd love to see, but we don't need that. These youth need something reality based, which speaks to them. And if we end up getting the financial freedom to do it, that's one thing they can do. But I would like that to come from our community because we have that power as well. But you ask me what they can do. That they can get behind, and don't do it like it's just a prop for your political campaign, because we know that let's stop it. We know there's money out here, there's money out here. Like everybody acts like there's money out here. We get the money to the right people who have the right heart, who actually want to get it done. We get out there and we build our communities up, give them a place to go, give them something to hold on to be proud of, that they can be a part of building up, and they'll be less anxious to tear it down. We got to have something for them. I'm just speaking about Aurora. Aurora Black youth really don't have anything. And we got to do something to put it here. Otherwise, as Mary said, we're going to fail them because we're not, like she said, like that's one of the arguments I've been having behind closed doors, that there's no youth in here. You bringing us the good guys. I don't want to see the nice people that's going to college, and I want to see the people that you think are knuckleheads, because a lot of them are very, very smart. and they just don't have the opportunities, and we can't give it to them, even we know that they need it in order to put them in the positions, and not just youth, young adults as well. You know, trade programs, STEAM programs. Some of these people are straight mathematicians, and we can't get them in the right places to use what they can do to be leaders in this world. That's wrong. That's what politicians can do. Open up the purse strings to the right people. Let us get our stuff together and build for this youth and the young adults so we can build a future for them and their children and our children as well.
Now, what's
All
the
right, all right.
question?
Mary, same question. Mary, same question to you. What role do you think government can play stopping guns?
You're cutting out.
What
Where's
role
the
do you
speaker?
think government can play? What role can don't worry about him. What role do you believe government can play in stopping gun violence?
In stopping gun violence. I thought you said something about gun violence.
Specifically gun violence in the black community, in the brown communities, specifically gun violence.
Specifically gun violence. Well, partially what Sadiq said as far as the finances. See, we talk a lot about grant money for programs and things like that, and my motto has always been, why do we go beg people to do for us what we can do for ourselves? So when you come back to the gun violence, if we want to, talk about the finances and the money with the police and all that right there. Now you're getting into defunding the police, which means moving the money around and take some of the money that's used for specific things, because I don't know what all they use their money for. I just hear they get a lot of money, and take some of that and put those programs in place. And I'm gonna tell you something. There is, Lord help me, the Citizen Community Police Academy at the Royal Police Department. Now,
Mm-hmm.
even though that program has stipulations, like people that got felonies, certain people can't take the program. I myself couldn't get in that program for many years. Of course, I guess you got to be 30 for you can join the police force up to the age of 35, right? So if people could change, as Sadiq says, the culture, change the way they think, taking that class to get on the other side to see how the police is ran,
Mm-hmm.
what policy, what procedures, what it's like to be put in their shoes, not just as a police officer, but as a woman and as a man. See, if you could put the right people in the right places, we want to train up our kids. We could train them, keep their hearts right and their minds right, and train them also to go be police officers. We ask why we don't have a lot of black police officers, because a lot of us, let's keep it real, parents teach the kids to be against the police officers. Back when we were younger, even myself, hell, I wanted to be a policeman, policewoman. As time went on, so what? I started having children, and all that stuff started happening. But then, why not teach and raise them up? See, then they could be in there. Then they could be in the union, in the police union. Then they can speak for things for the community. Because see, just like you got aldermen that speak on behalf of certain wards, you got teachers unions, you got police unions. See, if you train them up the right way and they become a police officer, even if they ain't gonna like them when they out here, they ain't gonna like them when they become the police. But now you are part of an organization, because the police is an organization. Now you can speak to what's happening in the union. You had one police department, I'm not gonna remember which one it is because it's not in front of me, that the whole police force quit because they didn't like what was going on. They didn't like that, they wanted them to change their ways.
Mm-hmm.
So you got people that, even though they're probably, we know police officers, and I'm not gonna be naming people's names on here, that they knew the good, the bad, the ugly. Is if you were bad, a bad seed, selling drugs, or doing whatever you was doing, that they knew you were bad when we was growing up over here, on the east side of Aurora. They didn't mess with you just to mess with it, but they messed with you when you was doing bad. If you was doing good, hey, how you doing? Whatever, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see people go to jail, getting locked up, laughing and kicking it with the police while they going to jail because they knew they did wrong. So we can get back to that. So we got to break that stigma, us against them, because we already know that that's what's being planted. That's why our kids went out protesting and everything. So we want to talk about the police and what they can do financially, what they can do. We're never going to be able to talk about them until we change our mentality. We can't get them to change their hearts, but we can change our mentality, and we can come to the table. We can come without yelling and arguing and doing all that there. So now we can hear each other and come to the table. So now we'll know what's feasible and what's not feasible. Because if you want them to change the laws that's on the books, they got to know what we're asking for. Now I'm gonna tell you this too. Now I got still research doing it, but they say that the money that the police get, and just like the city, the aldermen, the mayor, and everybody, that is public knowledge, public record.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at it. You can see what it is.
$77
Then we
million
can
budget.
say, now you get back into defunding the police. A lot of people, again, organization, movement, defunding the police. Defunding the police, they think that it's getting rid of the whole police force, no police, period. But see, that's getting into the finances. How they spending the money, where the money's going, what it's being used for. And and then we want to get into the mayor's job, the alderman, the police chief. I'm gonna go a little political, a little off the subject that you're talking about, because there's not too much more I can say to that.
Go too far though.
You have the mayor, you have the police chief, you have the alderman. What a lot of people don't realize is that everybody running to the mayor and the chief of police, they bypassing the alderman. They just sitting back, just watching. They run into the mayor, they run into the chief of police. I'm being honest because I've been at some meetings. They're demand letters and everything straight to the mayor, straight to the chief of police. Each ward in Aurora, because other people, they got council people and all that, but each ward in Aurora has an alderman. The alderman, when you got issues and stuff, you're supposed to go to your alderman.
Mm-hmm.
Then your alderman take the issue and take it to the mayor. If there's an issue even with the police, you go to your alderman. But before you even get there, there's a process. The process goes like this, following protocol. You fill out the complaint forms. They don't give it to you. You go to the Human Relations Commission. All this stuff is already set in place. There's a lot that, because I'm gonna be honest, George Floyd got killed and everybody wanted to go and be a part of an organization and a part of a movement. They missed protocol. How many aldermen were asked to come to any of the meetings? How many community meetings have people been to? They're still happening. They're happening on Zoom, but they're happening. How many people even know who their alderman is, what ward they even live in? How do they know what the alderman will do or won't do? But yet we got an election coming up. Yet you're going to have to vote for the alderman. You're going to have to vote for the mayor. Now someone through there, what's not someone, but Judge Law is going to run against Richard Irving. Take the time to get to know the people who are running for office. Get out and register to vote. But then when they get in there, before they get in there, you don't wait till they get in there and then go run and talk about what you want. Or you don't wait when people are running for office and then go let them tell you this or tell you that because you want political favors or whatever, you want money or you want whatever for organization, whatever you're doing. It starts with you. It starts with us. We're supposed to come to them with what we want. You don't wait till they get in office and then go to them talking about what they ain't doing. when they don't even know what you wanted before they got in. All you did was voted for them.
Right.
And I want people to keep this in mind. Aldermen, they don't get paid a lot of money. They don't. They got a lot of money in their budget. They're supposed to go to the community in their areas, in their ward, used for that. But pay wise, it's not a lot of money. Not an alderman, they got other jobs. Being an alderman is part-time. But we keep saying what we expect for them to do. We talk about grant money, but honey, let me tell you this right here. If we could take our own money, Pastor Bill Winston over in Forest Park, they took their own money and put their money together. They didn't wait for the city or nobody to do for them. They took their own money together. There's another group down in California, Detroit. This is what they do. They take their own money. But a lot of people want to take their own money, use their own money for their own family, their own self. But see, you take all your money and put it in the same pot. And we're doing what we're doing for all the children. You can come up with your own youth center, your own community center, and see, you get the help when you need the help. But you can start with your own. You can start with your own. We can start with our own. And when I go to that theater, let me tell you something. 2015, I had a stroke behind fighting so hard, fighting too hard until it made me sick. So this time around, I don't want to fight like that no more. I want us to come together. I want us to be serious. I want us to be sincere. I wanted us to be sincere for this young man just got killed. I want us to be sincere about our community, about the needs of our children. We don't got time to be waiting for no grant money. We don't got time to wait for the next election. Because while we're waiting, steady waiting, and we're using our money just for our own family, God forbid we die and our kids, our grandkids are still here, guess what? They still gonna be waiting. When we could take our own money, set up, come on, people do it, they set up scholarships, find a building, put your minds, put your money in it. If our kids matter, come on, I'm gonna tell you something. I deal with a lot of different organizations, a lot of different people. Trust me, they're not waiting on no grant money. They got their own money. They got, you can even start something with people in your family, your friends, just like you want to go buy a house. You want to start a business. Why can't we as a community come together and put our money where our children's lives matter? We ain't got time to wait for no grants or whatever. Well, come on, we've been sitting here. Everybody keeps talking about 400 years. I'm 55 years, so I ain't been waiting no 400 years.
Right.
But for every bit of 35 years, we want to see something better here. But if me or that person, I'm naming the names, could take their little bit and go out and do a little bit, imagine what we would have. If you take your little bit, you take your little bit, I take my little bit, we put all our little bit together, we're going to have much. Rashid, I heard you say earlier about there used to be a lot of black people here. See, it wasn't just a lot of black people here, there was a lot of black businesses here.
That too.
The car dealerships, the gas station all up and down New York, she was owned by black folk.
Mm-hmm.
The 7-Eleven down on Clay Street, black folk.
Mm-hmm.
All up to Harris, all these places. The whole community, most of it was on the east side of Aurora. It was shooting out New York Street.
Yeah.
Do you think the banks gave them the money to start? Talk to some of them. Some of them still living. And they'll tell you.
That what you're saying is true, but I was answering his question. He said, what could the government politicians can do? The government can do. So I agree with you 100%. I believe I touched on that earlier, is that we need to pull our own resources. So if they don't do anything, we don't have to wait on that. We can do that. So I'm in total agreement doing for self. That's 100% correct. What you're saying. We need to be able to pull those resources outside of that. I was just answering his question, but you are 100% correct.
Yes.
One more.
I'm sorry. Because see, wait for the politicians to do it. First of all, you got to know how to ask them.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you talk about grants and everything, you got to know what you're talking about when you ask them for it.
Yeah.
The vocabulary is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to build a youth center. Everybody running around talking about a youth center, but don't nobody want to learn how to do the paperwork.
Right.
Understand? Nobody want to learn about how much money they do have to do. Because let me tell you something. See, when you come down to the finance, when it comes to politics, this is how it goes. They get certain money that's allocated for street work,
Mm-hmm.
certain money allocated for the water pipes, certain money allocated. I don't mean to rock it back and forth, but certain money that's allocated for the community, for community events or empowering, enrichment of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. See, it's not like because I'm just gonna throw a number. It's not like because I'm alderman and I got $30,000 I can put in my community. Certain monies are allocated for certain things. So
Mm-hmm.
if they get money from the federal government, it says this money has to go to the streets. That money has to go to the streets. Not $1 that can go towards education. Money that's supposed to be allocated for education has to go for education. Not
Mm-hmm.
$1 that can go to the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking and just talking. We got
No.
to take the time to learn government.
Well, that's the whole point of what we're trying to do now. We have to educate our people on exactly what to do, and you're exactly right. There are certain things they can do, but it's not that simple. And it's not simple as walking in. Hey, we need money for this. We want to do that. That's ignorant. We're not trying to do that. But we have to definitely educate our people on what to do. But we're not going to act like these people are handcuffed because they're not. And
Right.
the other thing is this, though, is what I want to get at when you talked about building up communities and what we should do. I think this is what Clay is trying to hint on, is that correct me if I'm wrong, brother. I don't want to speak for you, but like,
Right.
is there a role that they play, and is that role good enough? I think that's what we're getting at.
Yeah, is there a role that they can play? You know, my this is my thing, and I totally understand the points that you guys are making, and you're right. However, these government officials, they work for us. Okay,
Hmm.
they work for us, and so my whole thing is put their ass to work. I mean, it's really that simple.
It's that simple.
I've been a businessman, and I've owned quite a few businesses over the course of my lifetime, and I've had employees. And what I do is I put people to work. The politician is no different, and so I don't have a helpless viewpoint as a citizen when it comes down to politicians. I know that certain monies that they get from the federal government and you know, and certain budgets are allocated towards certain projects, towards certain
That is
things.
true.
I get all of that. However, the same kind of pressure, the same kinds of pressure that we apply to elected officials when it comes down to the police reforms that we see, also be applying that same kind of pressure to our elected officials towards the development of our communities. And this is what I like to see more of. Mary has a great point, and I've always felt the same way. We need a better political education as a people. We need to understand how politics works. We can't keep walking around with this I give up mentality when it comes down to politics. I
Or
give up.
I
When
want
it
it
comes
now.
down, right. And we can't do that. There's a lot of learning that we still have to do.
Of course.
And so with that, folks, I got one more issue, one more online. I happened to come across a statement that was made by someone that I really want to get the two of your opinions about. The statement reads as this, quote, Black lives will matter when Black lives matter to us. I repeat, Black lives will matter when Black lives matter to us. How do y'all feel about that statement? Sadiq, starting with you.
I don't like the statement. I'm just gonna tell you that right out. I don't like the statement
Why
because
not?
you're kind of giving too much room for people who believe our lives don't matter, period, because you have a problem with how we carry ourselves and what we do with one another. That should not absolve those who seek to do harm to us just by the nature of the color of our skin or whatever the case may be. We don't want to absolve them with that type of statement, and that gives them a way out to where you shift focus. So if, for instance, if I'm Sadiq in Aurora I don't go to Georgia and now I'm not Sadiq. I turn my name to Harold. So if my life matters in Aurora, then my life matters in Mississippi. And it doesn't matter what our people doing. It didn't say life matters to Black Lives Matter, and it put an asterisk next to it. It says Black Lives Matter. So that means if Black people are disproportionately killing Black people, we let them know our lives matter. This shit got to stop. But we know that the moniker is being used against police brutality. So you say it's only going to matter when Black Lives Matter to Black people, as if we stop killing each other, they're going to stop killing us. That gives the wrong message. Okay. Now I've heard arguments to where as though people is like, well, you guys aren't in suits, or you guys don't dress this way or dress that way. Lumumba was killed in a suit. Malcolm X was killed in a suit. Martin Luther King was killed in a suit. Suit has nothing to do with people who hate you. They just hate you. As a matter of fact, they made a remark one time and said, you know what a monkey in a suit is still a damn monkey. You know, they don't, that doesn't mean anything. So it's not, Black lives are not going to matter when Black people stop killing Black people. You know, that's not the problem. It's a problem internally. We need to cut it out, but that's not going to stop them from steady plotting on and against us. This is a problem that's been going on way too long. And so for someone to make that statement, it's almost the same. It's almost as bad as all lives matter, blue lives matter, and all of that. You know, I saw a statement the other day, and it said Black trans lives matter. I said, what in the hell is this? Not because it was trans they were talking about, because if you're Black and you're trans, and I say Black lives matter, well, ain't you Black? So why we got to
all inclusive?
It's right. All inclusive. So it's like, you know, Black people with big legs matter. Like, what? Aren't you Black? This is stupid. So we can't start just making all these different things because it sounds romantic and it's fancy and people want to get a bunch of likes and hand claps and, you know, I'm gonna be the one to come out and speak and tell Black folks we need to cut this out and cut that out. We know we need to. That's not what we're talking about at this moment. We know that's a problem. We know that's a problem in our community. But at the same sense, making statements like that waters down the movement. It makes it harder for organizations to actually focus up on this. And I'll say this, Black people have to stop coming out being the watchdog for everybody else instead of protecting your own and speaking up on our issues the way we need to. We don't need to protect white people. We don't need to protect Mexicans. Latinos and white people, they have their protectors. We need to work with some of these groups because some of them actually mean us some good. However, we don't need to say, hey, well, we need to include them in order for us to speak right. People who make stuff like that, do stuff like that, are apologizing for us crying out. And I don't like it. It's wrong. To me, it waters down the mission, and we need to stop. It's like, if you make music, do you care who you make music for? You make music, right? You make what comes out of your soul. There's no need for you to say, I make music for Black people. That just sounds ridiculous. You just make music. Music is a universal language. If I'm crying out about what's going on to my people, and it's disproportionately happening, when you make statements like that, it's telling people like, hey, well, you know what? It's okay because we killing ourselves anyway. So, you know, and that's how people perceive it or not. People, believe it or not, people perceive it in that way. Like, we killing ourselves. I've heard that argument so many times. We killing ourselves. How we gonna ask the white man to stop? Or how we gonna ask the police to stop? Or how we gonna ask these people to stop? That's you're missing the point. It's become a culture to do to us, and they're turning their heads. Zimmerman was not a police officer. Let's just start with Trayvon. Zimmerman was not a police officer. He was somebody patrolling on his own, blatantly told, do not pursue this young man. Didn't y'all hear y'all heard the video, the audio, right? It said, do not pursue him. Didn't they say that?
Yes, they
Don't
did.
pursue him. He says he's gonna go anyway. So that he thought he was doing community policing, right? So he goes down and ultimately kills the young man. That is flat out murder. He don't go to jail. He ain't even a cop. You got qualified immunity given the policemen to where you can't even civilly sue them in some places. Places are now getting rid of qualified immunity. Half the people on the street don't even know what qualified immunity is. Then you talk to people that this officer's raising hell, that officer's raising hell. The officer can get fired by the chief, but the goddamn union can bring them right back. So why are we arguing over things we don't understand and begging for things? You don't beg when you're being done injustice. You don't beg when you're asking for revolution. People don't go ask for justice. People go and take it, because if justice was meant to be given to you, then you wouldn't have to ask for it.
Gotcha.
So my point is like this, bro. Flat out. If we're going to fight this fight, statements like that cannot be used in the public. And for me, that is probably worse than saying all lives matter, because it's giving people the idea that, since, like, if I call, not to be crass and no disrespect, Merrick, so I'm not trying to disrespect, sound disrespectful, but if I call my sister a bitch at home, which is wrong, that don't mean you can come to my house and call my sister a bitch. I'm gonna slap the hell out you, but it's wrong either way. But you see what just letting it end to say? Oh, so now since I said it, now everybody on the block can come in and do the same thing. No, everybody can't. You may say, man, my mama get on my nerves. If everybody come to your house and say, man, your mama get on my nerves, now you're getting pissed off. Like, hold up, that's my mama. I got a right to say, we don't have the right to kill one another, but that's in-house we need to fix. That has nothing to do with this outside person. So we bring that upon ourselves, though, when we don't have an understanding of what Black lives mean to one another and what we should be doing, how we should carry ourselves, protect ourselves, arm ourselves with education and conduct. But that type of shit, when it comes from us, is bad. I expect that from an opposition, not from in-house. You get what I'm saying?
I got you. I got you. Mary, same thing. This statement that I saw from another person on online: Black lives will matter when Black lives matter to us. What do you think about that statement?
Well, the truth is, it's hard for me to answer to that statement because I don't know where their mentality was at when they made that statement. Okay. And so that makes it, but if I had to say now, Sadiq, when he just said about the all lives matter, as of this morning, I made a video about why I feel all lives matter. One of the main reasons why I can't, another let me say, one of the main reasons that I'm going to say that I will not make a statement to that is because when you have so many African American people doing so much dirt to African American people, then we turn around and get upset when somebody that's Hispanic or Caucasian or the police do something to African American people. Okay. So, and I went African American with it, reason being because you have people are married or in relationships, they're Black, they're with Mexicans, Blacks with whites, with Asians, with whatever, right? And let's keep it real here. You know how hard it is for that Black man to be with the white woman and they got mixed kids, and now the mixed kids have to try to figure out this whole Black Lives Matter thing. But then you have the Black friend that will come over, or the Black friend, I'm gonna keep it real, since you used the B word, that he comes over, now he's sleeping with the mama that's the white lady. That doesn't make it right. But now you just totally disrespected that Black man's home, and you're a Black man. So you can come up with all different kind of scenarios. But why Black lives would matter more? Because it would be about respect. People could respect us more if we respect ourselves more. So Sadiq, I hope that you don't call your sister the B word.
No, I was giving a parable.
Because I thought that, I was like, whoa, that was deep. Okay, but
you know what I'm saying.
Right. I understand. So Black Lives Matter. We're having a conversation. All of a sudden, we're fighting now. One of us go to the car, we get a gun. We're shooting now. 3 Black men. Now you got 2 Black men, 1 white guy. Don't ask me why our mentality seems to change when we throw a different culture in there. 2 Black men, 1 white guy. Believe this. For whatever reason, that Black man gonna think about it before he go to the car and get that gun to shoot that white man, he gonna think about it before he even go get that gun and pull it on the white man. Black people ain't even scared to do stuff to black people and go to jail. And one of the sad things about that is, especially they do it in front of black people, because black people are the ones that 9 times out of 10 ain't gonna tell nothing. And people know that. So black on black crime is forever and always gonna be there. Not one to talk to the police, not one to tell. When it's black on black crime, it's always gonna be there. Scenario. When some young men that was out here, a shooting happened, ring doorbell and all, oh, there was a whole big, the TV stations, everybody came out because primarily the Caucasian people got upset and got mad. Everything came full force. Everything. But that happens with the black people. We talk to each other, we mad, we fuss, and we argue or whatever. We go somewhere, we sit down. But then if it's my black brother, I ain't got no problem with fighting him, arguing him, shooting him, killing him. So when you make a statement that says black lives will matter, when black lives matter to black people, you're looking through the eyes of the next culture. Then you're looking through the eyes of your brother, who ain't got no problem with shooting another brother, another black man. Why is it so easy? Now, I'm gonna say it to y'all. I know it's your show, Andre. I'm gonna say it to y'all. Y'all black men. See, I'm not a black man. TD Jakes one time, it was on Mother's Day a few years back, had said, women, don't fool yourself. God didn't give you what he gave men. If you're a single woman, mother, raising your black sons.
Mary, stop knocking on that table.
I know, right? Don't fool yourself. God didn't give us what he gave men. He didn't install that in us. So when I come from, with my explanations to a lot of things that's said here today, see, I'm coming from a woman's point of view. I'm not just coming from a black person. I'm coming from a black woman's point of view. So my view would be different than a black man. Understand me. From a woman's point of view, we would say all lives matter. Because we're going to care about every child, no matter which nationality, every woman when she's getting abused, no matter which nationality. See, that's what we're going to see. That's from a woman's point of view. As a black person saying black lives will matter, when the lives matter to us, that's so hard for me.
Yeah, I get it.
Because we have beat each other up, torn each other down for so long.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah,
because
that is our mentality.
But not to interrupt, Mr. Clay, but just real quick, white people have problems in their communities. Latinos have problems in their communities, and they wouldn't dare have that type of mentality about it. And I understand what you're saying, and I don't think that people understand that when we're saying that well, me myself, when I'm saying that's as bad as saying all lives matter, is like, if anyone's ever been direly sick or seen somebody direly sick and they say, man, I'm sick, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, nobody should come in the room and be like, hey, well, they're dying too. I don't think that type of idea when you're in the middle of something like this should be done. I think the timing is wrong, and I think that's the biggest part they have at it. Of course, all lives matter. That's a savage thing to just kill to be killed type of running around like that's just ridiculous. But I don't think that's what we're saying when, at least myself saying when I say all lives matter, to say it's bad. Not that all lives don't matter, but to do it in this climate is wrong. And I can understand your sentiment about black on black crime, but I don't believe myself that should be like I noticed in the news every time there's shootings, right? Y'all seen this as well. They'll say 50 shootings in Chicago. The first thing black folks say is what? We need to stop. They ain't say who was doing the shooting.
Thank you.
They
Thank
just say
you.
50 shootings, and we digest it and say it's us. That's the
We
most
internal,
ignorant shit.
yes, yes, we
Look,
do. We claim the
we
violence. We
claim the
actually
bounty.
claim it.
We claim it, and they ain't even said it was
We
you.
actually
But we
claim
say
it.
it's us. We run with it. Look, these young
Train,
people,
train
that
mentality.
that's from. But see, that's why I brought up slavery, because that is a slave mentality. Sort of like men that run around just make babies and take care of none of them. That's the studs that was on them sex farms. It's slave mentality. But you know, the thing is this, and I'm gonna leave it alone. You know, the problem is that we know that you or I would solve this problem overnight. This is to start the conversation to get people talking. And we got to get people out talking in the streets about this, because these are real things. And we have to understand the tricks that are played by the enemy. And this is a lot of it is tricks. And then we fall in hands of it. Sort of like they was trying to push this black against Mexican narrative just 2 or 3 weeks ago. Remember? I got a friend that was out there, stood out there in the place that they said it was happening. He like, this ain't happening. I'm walking all through here. You know, and people showed him love. They had a little meeting out there. Everything was all good, right? People were trying to pick up on that narrative here and start madness, to the point where even when the sister Vanessa was just killed in Fort Hood, on people's pages, they were saying, had that same energy you had with George Floyd with Vanessa. What? We're going to compare tragedies? Stop it. See, we don't understand the subtleties in this thing. So it's a bomb ready to explode. We ain't seen nothing yet. That was small. But we can do what we can on our end to try to not mend it, but try to fix some of the problem locally to a global problem. So I got to get ready to go, man. I appreciate the conversation, man. But
Well, we all do. I'm about ready to end the show. I love you both. You're very long-winded, but I love you both. A lot of great information. We won't be able to do the call-in part of the show because of that. But I do, before you go, I do want to read a couple of comments from the people, because I really
yes,
do
sir.
appreciate them chiming in. Um, Cedric Miller asked a question: how can we teach politics in our home? Okay, your one says no. Respect for our lives is not dependent on our actions or how we behave. Our lives are to be respected just like everyone else by virtue of being human.
Indeed.
Indeed. And real quick before we get up out of here, the reason that that particular quote, "Black lives will matter when Black lives matter to us," caught my attention so much, because I felt it was just disingenuous, and it's a lie. Because despite the violence that we see in our communities, the percentage of killings that happen there are no higher or no worse, if you will, than any other race, any other culture. Because if you look at FBI statistics, quote unquote, and I don't like to use this term, but black on black crime is not much different than white on white crime, brown on brown crime, as you pointed out, Sadiq. So with that being said, I came across a lot of articles. I'm not going to go through them right now, but there's a ton of organizations out there. There's hundreds of black activists out there who are trying their hardest, boots on the ground, to help curb and put an end to gun violence in our communities. So, in my opinion, for someone to suggest that Black lives don't matter to Black people, you are insane. And you have not taken the time to really learn about what it is that we do. No, we don't have 10,000 people protesting because police work for us. They're our employees. So you're going to feel a little bit different, and your reaction is going to be a little bit different when it comes down to them versus some of our loved ones that may live next door on the same block, same neighborhood. The difference between the two is that in most cases, if Pookie and Ray Ray pull the trigger, Pookie and Ray Ray goes to jail. But if Officer Dan pulls the trigger, he may not. So with that being said,
Yes,
I
sir.
want to thank the two of you for being a part of this podcast today. I thought the two of you did a great job. A lot of information out there. Thank you to everyone who commented during the show. And I want to encourage everyone to tune in next week for a new episode of the Reset Podcast. With that being said, happy Sunday to everybody and good night.
Thank you, Rashid. Whoop. Okay, you guys. God
All
bless.
right. All right.